Coming up, it's Twig This Week in Google with Gina, Jeff, and a visit from James Spann, a weatherman whose Facebook page was taken down. We'll also talk about the hot new Google phone. I got it. The S3, my review, coming up next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 150, recorded June 6th, 2012. Sim Surgery. This Week in Google is brought to you by Stamps.com. Use Stamps.com to buy and print real U.S. postage the instant you need it right from your desk. For our special offer, visit Stamps.com, click the radio microphone, and use the offer code TWIG. And by Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to create a high-quality website or blog. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase on new accounts, go to Squarespace.com and use the offer code TWIG6. And don't forget, they now offer free domain registration with annual plan subscriptions. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, the show that talks about Google, the cloud. We'll talk a little about Facebook as well today. Gina Trapani is here from smarterware.org. Great to have you, Gina.
Great to be here.
Yay. And we only have a little bit of Jeff. We're going to have an hour of Jeff.
As long as we can. We've got an hour plus, yeah.
An hour of Jeff. Jeff Jarvis is here. Where are you? You're not at the City University of New York where you normally haunt?
I'm in Toronto, and I stayed longer after a meeting. I'm taking the last flight out so I can be on Twig.
Are you on Air Canada? Oh, it's a quick flight to New York, though. It's not a bad flight.
It is. It's the last flight out. No, Air Canada, last time I was here, the pilots had a wildcat strike. Drove me absolutely batty. So, no, I flew United this time. Next time I'll fly Porter, not Air Canada.
I flew, I did a lot of flying on Air Canada every month for 4 years or something. I would fly up to Toronto. I like Toronto, though. It's a great town.
I love
great
Toronto.
People.
It is a magnificent town. I almost moved here twice.
Really? Oh, you like it that much? I don't like it that much. Too cold.
Well, yeah.
I don't think I could. Now, we have an unusual guest. We're going to start off with James Spann, who is a wonderful fella. He's a meteorologist. He, along with Kevin Sell. Is it Sells? Is that how Kevin pronounces his last name?
Selly.
Selly.
Kevin Selly, yes.
Does a podcast called Weather Brains because he's a meteorologist. And James has done an amazing work in the past with hurricanes using Twitter and social media. Was this last year that you were warning people?
Yeah, our big day, Leo, was April 27th of last year. We had a generational tornado outbreak in which just in my state alone, the death toll was 252, and around the region it was way over 300. So that was April 27th of last year.
These are the Alabama tornadoes, and you're in Birmingham, right?
Yes, that's correct.
WBMA?
Yes, the ABC affiliate here.
And WCFT and WJSU, Hoover, Alabama.
I'm actually more excited about being on TWiT than ABC. I'm a TWiT fanboy.
Well, and I'm a fan of Weather Brains because, it's something about weather. People get fascinated and addicted and hooked. So James is doing good stuff. I mean, yeah, he's on TV, but by using Twitter, you were using your Twitter feed to follow the tornado's path, to warn people that the tornado was on the way. Was it really a remarkable thing you were doing?
Well, social media is very powerful, Leo, and I think I have learned a lot. There's still a lot to learn, but I think we used it very effectively last year to not only warn people about the danger on that day, which was historic, but also for us to gather information back. You know, it used to be I could not buy a report from some rural parts of this state, but now with social media, we can get them by crowdsourcing at almost any time. So it's a two-way kind of thing, and social media is absolutely crucial to what we do. And
it's an interesting use of so you use Google Plus for this as well.
Yes, I was in there like all of you at the beginning,
right.
And I find it a very robust platform, and it almost was my exclusive platform this past weekend.
Well, and that's kind of why we're having you on, because I guess Facebook deleted your page. What happened?
I don't know. This past weekend, I was getting set to post some information on the Facebook like page, and again, a lot of people live in that world. I don't, but many people do. And as you know, you've got to go where people are, which is what we try and do. And that page has about 99,000 likes, and we were getting set to have an active day the next day, and I couldn't pull it up. And I noticed at the same time an email came in from Facebook that said your account has been disabled with no explanation. And of course, the regular account, it's been maxed out at the 5,000 limit,
right,
like everybody else for a long time.
But now you can subscribe, of course, and that means that you can have many more people following.
Right.
What is now the account's back? We should say it was a
right. It came up 12 hours later, but for those 12 hours, I didn't know what to do. And so I finally found a form for those people that have had their accounts disabled. And I went through that form and filled it out and got an email back, which I guess was automated, and they asked for my driver's license, which I thought was a little bizarre. This is when it started getting creepy. And
they thought you were impersonating James Spann.
I guess they did. So I had to, scan my state driver's license, the photo ID, and send that to this Facebook email account. I did not know a specific person I was dealing with. There was no name. And I blacked out all of my personal information, the driver's license number, the address. I just had my photo showing in my name. And I woke up the next morning just assuming it was a mistake, and it was still down. So, I started the Twitter stink bomb thing, which I didn't know what else to do, because later that day with active weather, I needed that account back because a lot of people get weather information during severe weather only by social media. Many young people don't watch these newscasts we do. This is Ron Burgundy stuff from the 70s. And, it's just for older people. And we reach a lot of younger people with social media. So I had great concern. And I do okay on Twitter. I don't have your numbers, Leo, but I think I've got about 62,000 there. And they're pretty vocal. And that started to started to roll. It's like a snowball going downhill. And it just came back magically mid-morning Sunday. So it was out for about 12 hours, and there was no email to tell me it was back. There was no communication explaining why they yanked it. And it's horrifying because, we are using that platform as a very critical way of disseminating severe weather information. And understand, when you've got an F4, F5 tornado on the ground, this is serious business. This is life-threatening. So it's scary stuff. And I guess I'd love to know, number one, why they disabled it. Did they think I was imposter? Did they think I was posting something ugly? I mean, there's nothing on that page but just weather information. There's nothing controversial. I don't do politics. It makes no sense at all. And I tried to, send people over to, Google Plus, and hopefully got a lot of people signed up for that. And but it's just, it's very scary.
It shows both the strength of social media, but also its weakness, which is, these are private companies. We don't really control. It's not broadcasting, which is licensed by the Federal Communications Commission. It's just a private company, and they can do what they effectively can do what they want.
A lot of people say, "Well, just get a lawyer and sue these people." Well, you can't sue them because they can yank that account anytime they want.
It's their privilege.
They have the right to do that.
I have emailed the heads of PR at Facebook in Washington and in California to ask them, and so we can get some facts here and actually discuss the facts.
Yeah. It's bizarre. And I think it probably is a case of wanting to make sure that you were who you say you were. So you're at SPANN on Twitter. What is the Facebook?
It's facebook.com/James Spann. I have two N's on my name, and that's the like page. My personal account is just Spann, but the page that we use for content is that one.
Right.
And again, if you look at it, it's just, on a day like today, we have calm weather here today.
It's about
just
weather
information. I promoted it. By the way, you've got the weather weenies of the world over here now. The Weather Brains crowd have invaded the Twig audience. So
I see you were watching the Venus transit as we were. We were fascinated by that. That was
great stuff.
Yeah, and that NASA video, we can't stop watching that. The sun is so beautiful. Well, James, I'm sorry that happened. We'll try to find out, thank you, Jeff, for doing some actual reporting.
It was the very last minute, but as soon as I hear something,
we'll give their point of view on it.
Leo and Jeff and Gina here. These are three big shots that can try and find out some answers.
Well, I don't, and I certainly don't want to slam Facebook because we don't know what happened, but I think the takeaway is that we more and more are relying on social media and private companies for this kind of dissemination of information, and there's no protection. I mean, it's just it's up to them what they want to do.
Well, it makes you wonder if our
it
relationship
cuts both ways.
has
It's like,
to change.
Sorry, Gina.
Right.
Gina, go ahead.
No, sorry, Jeff. Well, I was going to say, when these networks become these very important, vital distribution platforms, you wonder if the relationship between the user and the company has to change. I mean, right now it's a free service that's advertising based, right? But in a situation like this, do you want to be able to purchase the service, or purchase access to a live help person, for example, in this case? I mean, who knows what this was? It's possible that maybe the page was hacked. Maybe there was unusual activity. Maybe there were just algorithms that detected unusual activity, and it was a security issue. I mean, who knows what it was? But James, I'm wondering, does what happened make you rethink the way that you use Facebook at all? Do you feel are you thinking, that you could move off to, a separate site? Or, I mean, you're really kind of in a tough position, right? Because you're trading control for distribution. Yeah,
and again, it's like Leo. Leo, you tried to get off Facebook once. And
you can't.
You're back.
You can't.
You're right. You can't.
Pulling me back.
That's where people are living. It's this walled garden AOL 2.0 thing, and I have to reach them out there. And of course, we try and bring them to our site, the blog we do and all of that. But a lot of people will not go there. They just get the information by Facebook. And I would pay. I need some kind of consistency with this so I know that the products are distributed. And the other thing that frustrates us, I guess, is the fact that I can't monetize this. Now if I start putting ad messages on here, that they will.
They'll yank
take
you.
it down.
Sure, they will. Yeah.
In a heartbeat.
Well, you can. But newspapers are starting to use the Facebook Reader. You have the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and the Guardian, and so there is a beginning of a model where your company could monetize. The other thing is that when my credit card company suddenly says there's suspicious activity, on the one hand it's inconvenient, it's a pain, but I'd far rather them do that if in the end it's happened and they protect me and protect my identity. And that's part of what's going on here is protecting identity. And I don't know why. I just got this email back from head of PR in the Washington office of Facebook, and this was obviously very last minute, but he contacted his ops team, and he said that I can say that Facebook has confirmed that this was an error, and they apologize for any inconvenience.
There you go.
Okay. Well, there.
Okay.
That's fine.
It really is about the larger issue, which we've talked about so many times on this show, about having your own website that you control. And, of course, we all agree, Gina and I have talked about this a lot, that you have to do that. But you make the excellent point, James, and you're talking to normal people as opposed to our audience, which are geekier people. You talk to normal people that's how they are on the net. They see Facebook as the Internet.
Yeah, and I can't reach them with the traditional television method. And having said that, obviously during tornado outbreaks, television is still a primary distribution method. The numbers are huge. But on the day of April 27th last year, on Ustream, we had 70,000 concurrent live streams. The Facebook and the Twitter usage, I think, was critical. I will tell you right now, there are people that are walking around in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and that was one of the many towns hit so hard that day because these people got the tornado warning via Facebook or Twitter. Now, we didn't have a Google Plus back then. It is a critical platform for us, and I'm hoping that our friends within these companies understand the critical nature of that and would I guess the only thing I was looking for was a warning. But if it was a mistake, I feel better that Jeff found out. See, that's a nice thing about being on this show. You got important people that find out things. I had no clue. I mean, I had no clue.
Jeff has the context, so thank you for pursuing that, Jeff. And thank you, James, for joining us. James is on Twitter, SPANN, and, of course, it's James, SPANN on Facebook, and it is up now. 100,000 people. Make it 100,001 because I just liked it. And it is, if you're in the Birmingham or the Alabama area, certainly something you'll want to use. I just wish there were some sort of way to do this that we're guaranteed to be up, but there isn't. That's kind of the nature of the internet. Thank you, James.
Hey, thanks, guys. I got to go do some local television across the hall here. Y'all have a great day. My privilege to be here.
Thanks, James.
The old-fashioned way.
I do TV the old-fashioned way. It was cameras.
Expensively.
Yeah, really. Thank you, thank you, Jeff, for pursuing that. And I think that's what we thought had happened. That something went wrong, and there was some issue about verification, and they said, "Oh, well, we can, send us your driver's license." But this is a problem with Google, with all these companies now. They're so big. When you have 800 million users, how do you How do you do support? You can't.
Yeah.
James' podcast is at weatherbrains.com, by the way, and I forgot to mention the official netcast for people who love weather. There it is, weatherbrains.com. And they've done more of those than we have done of Twig, 332 weather episodes. It's actually really good.
There's always weather.
It's a really good podcast. I really enjoy it. All right, let's move on to more news from the world of Google.
From the cloud to the cloud.
Yeah, can I show you my new phone?
Oh, please.
Yes, please do.
What if we said no, Leo? What if we said we don't care and we don't want to see it?
And I'm going to go home.
Just another Android
handset. Yes, please show it to us.
Well, we didn't, it's funny, when they did the announcement, we debated whether we should cover the announcement live, as we would do, certainly with an iPhone announcement. And that's the problem with Android. Yes, this is going to be a big deal, but there's a new Android handset every week. And the HTC One, which is fantastic, the Galaxy Note, which I have been using for a long time. My favorite before the Note was the Galaxy S2. A lot of attention when Samsung announced that they were going to do a Galaxy S3. I ordered, and I did this. I've done this before. It is now, we know, going to be available on all 4 major carriers in the U.S. Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, and T-Mobile. That it will be available June 21st on some of them. Verizon won't have it till July. But, as always, you can order an unlocked European version if you're willing to spend the unlocked price, which in this case was $650.
And it won't go to the full speed here, right?
It will on AT&T. It's not LTE, but it will go. Let me go back here. It will go. I don't want to show all my personal information. By the way, I love it when you get a new Google phone. It just downloaded all my apps and everything just here.
Yeah, that's nice.
It looks
it's really smooth. It's like watching you swipe through those screens. It looks
quad
really
core, baby. It really makes a difference. This thing is.
Yeah, and that screen is huge too.
So 4.8 inches.
Do you, Leo, to compare them?
I do. John, would you get my note? It's in the drawer of the office there. It's smaller than the Note. Phone. This is 4.8 inches. So it's by the way, it is really thin. The Galaxy S2 had a little bump at the bottom for a radio transmitter. I'll compare it to the thickness of a pencil, and you can see that it. No, I love that gag. I just keep using that gag. Here's the Galaxy. I know. Everybody on TWiT, I apologize. They've seen this for years. Here's the
back from the place where phones go to die.
Yeah, back. Yeah, because you notice I reset it. It's already saying "Willkommen," "Bienvenue," "Welcome." So there's the Galaxy Note.
So it's noticeably bigger.
It is. Oh, yeah. It's not Note size, but, I mean, a lot of people didn't like the Note because it wasn't one-handable. This is much more one-handable.
It's not a phablet. It's not a
phablet, but at 4.8 inches, and by the way, 1280 by 720. So this is actually close to the resolution of a 13-inch PowerBook. It's more than 300 dots per inch. Jeez. So it is a Retina display. And while it is a Super AMOLED, it is Pentile, but I have to say I don't have any of the Pentile color noise issues that I saw, and I wasn't too crazy about with the Nexus, this Galaxy Nexus. The whites are really white. The text is incredibly crisp, very, very legible. This is a very fast phone.
That's Chrome?
That's Chrome. Yeah.
And is that the default browser?
No, it does not come with Chrome. It comes with a traditional default browser. It comes with a lot of Samsung craps. Although they're not, I have to say,
it has some good stuff from Samsung.
TouchWiz 4 is not bad. This is TouchWiz. It is on ICS 4.04. But TouchWiz 4 is not horrible, and it does have some, the Samsung apps. Does not have I thought it was going to have a stylus. Doesn't have a stylus, but it does come with S-Memo, S-Voice, which is the Siri clone, and actually is quite good.
Is it?
Play Bob Dylan. And it's really quick. It's actually faster than Siri. It does a pretty good job of understanding text messages, or opening applications, things Siri cannot do. I'm actually kind of fond of this.
Does she speak? Does it have a she that speaks to you?
Yes, I believe that she speaks. I don't remember off the top of my head. Samsung then comes with a planner and a few other things: Video Hub, Music Hub. Actually, the music player is quite good. Good enough that I made it my default music player. One thing I really like about the Samsung music player, it supports DLNA. So at home, I have 2 DLNA devices, my AV receiver from Onkyo and an internet radio, the Grace Mondo. They both show up here. They're not showing up here because I'm not at home. on this. And if I'm listening to a song, I can send it right to my stereo, and in seconds it's playing on the stereo. Same thing with video. I can be watching video here and send it right to the TV set. So that DLNA is actually kind of like AirPlay, works quite nicely.
That's nice.
Quad-core,
really nice.
1.4 gigahertz Exynos processor. That will not be the case. I'm not sure, but I understand that will not be the case on all the U.S. carriers. I think there may not be a quad-core. One of the things I really like, in the teardown, iFixit published a teardown. It has the same exact camera app, or not app, sensor as the iPhone 4S. It has its own app, but I think quite a good app. Including the ability to shoot bursts, HDR, a panorama, built-in panorama that was quite good. In fact, I posted on my Google Plus account a panorama.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah,
and if you zoom in, it looks good. And I'll tell you what, I'll shoot a quick panorama here just to give you an idea of how quick it is. If you give me the full shot here, you just do this. I'm in the camera. Let me put it in panorama mode here.
And that's the Samsung camera app. That's not the ICS.
This is the Samsung app, not the ICS app. Although I think the ICS app has similar capabilities. Yeah. I'll start here. It keeps you level. You just slowly rotate it, and it takes the pictures when it gets to where it needs to. With this app, you really see the speed of the quad-core processors. Once I'm done, I think it takes 8 or 9 images, and I'm actually going a little slower than I did when I took the. I'm just rotating it around like that, and when it's done, I'll make sure I can tell you when it's about to do this. Yeah. It's done. It's stitched. It didn't take any time to do the stitch, which is kind of amazing. And here, let's turn it sideways. Here it is.
Oh, cool!
And
wow,
it's really good. Sorry, Gina. she was blinking, but it really, I mean, that did that instantly. And as far as I can tell, there are no.
At least you're in the picture, Gina.
Yeah. No, Jeff's kind of, sorta, right at. There he is.
There you go. There you go.
I went Gina to Jeff. So this is nice. The Samsung app. I think the Samsung apps are actually pretty good. I think they do a pretty compelling job. So I'm impressed. A
Flipboard exclusive?
Oh, I didn't. Yes, I forgot to mention. Here's the Flipboard, and Flipboard is just like on iOS. It's excellent. Same as the iOS where you flip up. It immediately recognized. I logged into my Flipboard account and it downloaded all my Flipboard sources. It doesn't have audio, or does it? Let me check. It has video, but no audio, so they haven't updated that yet. I think that's only on the iPad. I don't remember if that's on the iPhone yet. I don't think it is. It's just, I love Flipboard, and I'm very happy to have Flipboard on here.
It looks really nice.
You get 50 gigabytes of Dropbox storage for free for 2 years, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
As when you buy the phone, it just comes with extra Dropbox?
Yeah. Don't know why, but it does. Yeah. So all in all, I'm going to say I love it. 2 thumbs up to steal from Siskel and Ebert. Good size. It's a nice intermediate between the Galaxy S2 and the Note. Watch how small it is. I mean, it's just. I'll tell you the negative. It's slippery, thin, and light, and I'm going to drop this for sure. And of course, because there's no cases yet.
Right.
But I think they've done everything right. It's got a 1.9 megapixel front camera, so it's better than the front camera on any of the iPhones. I mean, this is Samsung saying, "Okay, let's see what you got, Apple." And it'll be very interesting to see what Apple responds with this fall. I'm sure that they'll be in a tug of war, but a lot to be said for this. As you can see, you can feel how fast it is.
Yeah, that's a nice phone. What's the deal with the colors? Is you can only get white now, but in red later?
They have white and blue, and Verizon, I think it's Verizon's going to have red. The Pebble Blue, they were having some trouble with the back not matching the front. I think they're shipping
seconds.
But I got white. I thought, what the heck? This is
all right. So if someone were buying a phone today, would you recommend
AT&T gets red,
or would you recommend this or the Note or what?
Oh, this is definitely the best Android phone by far.
Yes,
not even question. Competes, I think, very nicely with the Galaxy. The iPhone 4S. We'll see what happens with the iPhone 5. And by the way, I'll tell you how good it is. Apple is calling for an early ban on it. Apple says,
that's a good indicator.
You stole this. No, look how thin that is. And it's very light. For all the power in that thing, it's really kind of remarkable. Nice screen. I was watching video on it last night. Great HD screen.
And so how are you feeling about ICS now that you're
I love it because this has buttons. So
right.
I've got a menu button. At the bottom, I've got the capacitance buttons that Samsung put on the Note. The menu is here. The back button's here.
Yeah, those are
and
buttons.
The home button's
I couldn't really see. Okay, I just saw the main.
They actually glow kind of. You can't see it, but they glow very nicely, actually. So as long as I always have a menu here, ICS does not bother me. And there are other things I love about ICS.
There they are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see them kind of.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
They're capacitive. Lots of nice. I mean, this is, you know what ICS does? This is TouchWiz on top of ICS, so ICS doesn't impinge. Every once in a while I'll see a menu button there, but as long as I got my menu button at the bottom of the physical menu button, I'm all right. I'm loving it. And there's some nice things. Samsung put in some gestures so you could shake it. Supposedly, and I don't know if this works, when the screen is off, let's see if it works. I'm supposed to be able to put my finger on this, turn it sideways, and it launches the camera. I haven't been able to figure out why that's not doing that. There's some shake things. If you are on a contact and you put the phone to your ear, it will dial that contact. You can, of course, turn these things off. But this is kind of wild. Let me go to somebody. I don't mind if I call them. I'll call me. And I put it to my ear. It should call me. Maybe it's not doing that. So some interesting things. This is the Galaxy S3. It is going to be on all 4 carriers. AT&T will have the red, pebble blue, and marble white on the other carriers. This is comparable to the 1X. I like it a little better than the 1X. It certainly feels a lot thinner and lighter. So quick review of the Galaxy S3. I ordered it unlocked early so that I could talk about it. I'm very impressed. It lives up to all of the good things we've heard. So...
Although, if you're buying a phone right now, I might wait until the end of the month, right? Because we've got Google I/O and WWDC happening this month.
There'll be some announcements. I don't think Apple's going to have an iPhone until September, so that's when iOS 6 will come out. So
right, that makes sense.
And you're right. Google I/O, they may announce the S4. So yeah, I don't think they will. Oh, and removable battery, and I always order a couple extra batteries. So that's one thing over the HTC. Even though this is really thin, you can pop the battery. It is a 21 milliamp hour battery, which is almost as big. The Note is 2500. This is pretty. It's the biggest battery. It's much bigger than the Galaxy S2. So I don't know yet. I haven't charged. I'm running on a single charge, and I'm about half done. But I've been using it like crazy. So I think battery life is going to be strong on this thing. Anything else you'd like to know?
Are you switching? This is now your full-time phone?
Yeah, I took the SIM out of the iPhone.
Yeah, okay.
Because, that was something else I found out. It takes a micro SIM, not a full SIM. And if you're going to cut down your regular SIM, you got to do it really carefully.
So
I use scissors.
Down your...
don't recommend it.
Did you do that live, or did you record that?
I did it on Liz's desk. Liz saw me do it. So I'm 7 hours, 9 minutes, 57 seconds on battery. It's 37% down. 29% of that was screen, as usual on these big, beautiful screens. They're the big ones, but I wouldn't say unusual. This is good. So I've got a third left. So we're going to probably get 8 or 9 hours of heavy use. Yeah. So now I have to get a new SIM.
So it didn't work.
Well, if I'd done it right, or I got a SIM cutter, it would have. Yes, you could totally do that. But I was just like kind of, I'm just going to cut this. And I think I clipped it a little bit. And, and it fits very nicely. But I know this is going to, it's so slippery. It's going to slide right out. It's going to hit the toilet.
So do you have to go to the store and admit that's the latest?
Huh?
Hello, I need a new SIM.
Yeah, but AT&T, you can do that. You can say, hey, I got a new phone. Can I give a SIM? And they'll do that. No problem. They don't care as long as care as long as you're a customer. If I want to go out and buy an unlocked phone, they don't mind. I'm not asking for money back. I'm saying I want to be a customer some more. So yeah, you can always get new SIMs. You can say my SIM fell out. I'll tell them. You know what? They know me at the AT&T store. I'll say the last time I was in there, they said, "Oh, that you drop your phone in the water, right?" And I said, "Yeah." Yeah, I need a new sim.
I appreciate the DIY spirit, Leo.
Yeah. Oh, I liked it. I just, careful when you're cutting. Get a cutter. It's better. It's better. So Google had its event this morning. Did you all watch it?
Didn't watch it. No, but I saw the maps. They look cool.
I didn't watch it either, but
what's wrong with you guys? I didn't watch it either. So this is Google clearly trying to steal a lead on Apple, which on Monday will have its announcement that it's not going to use Google Maps anymore. I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's what it sounds like.
So what Google's trying to do is saying, "Are you sure we're going to be really good?"
Blow our heads off? Here, check this out.
So 3 key features, 3D models in Google Earth. So offline maps, that's big. So you can download the maps ahead of time.
Big.
Yeah, that's really nice. That's a big deal.
And then something called Street View Backpack. What's that?
That's so that you can the apparatus can be taken into places where cars don't go.
Oh.
Right, so it's this backpack with this giant robot head with a bunch of cameras on top, and this isn't for users. This is Google is paying people to.
But they'll have indoor street views now.
Right, well, hiking through national parks and that kind of thing, and getting street view for those places.
Oh, Leo, you've got to get used to one of those.
I want one of those.
I mean, don't you want to try one of those on so bad?
It looks a little top heavy.
Leo, I want that for the studio.
Okay, I want to wear one. Google.
It looks enormous.
Google, come please. Oh, look, there's Rafe Needleman trying to strap it in. Wow, Rafe.
You gotta do.
Rafe, come over here, Rafe. He was on TWiT this Sunday. He said he was going to this event. Look at that. CNET's Rafe Needleman, looking very sharp in a Google backpack with a Street View thing on the. It looks like a soccer ball with cameras or something.
So Google basically has an army of pilots flying contracted planes around big cities, getting 3D imagery, and now they've got an army of foot soldiers walking around with these backpacks on through national parks and places to get Street View images. It's pretty crazy.
It really is.
It's really crazy when you think about it.
Wow. So I did get it. There was an update to Maps, but it's not. This is not the one. I got an update this morning, but that's not the one. It's coming, right?
Yeah, it's coming in the next few weeks. It'll be Android only at first. They're working on getting it to iOS, they said.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Exactly.
What is going to happen there?
Will Apple just cut them off? No.
No, okay.
No, you'll get. In fact, that's probably what Google's thinking is, well, Apple plans to cut us off in September because they'll update everybody to iOS 6 and suddenly Apple Maps will replace Google Maps. So we've got a few months to show them what we can do so that people switch, right? What would be the they're not going to convince Apple to leave Google Maps, and what they want to do is convince people to go to Android.
Well, okay, let me cause trouble for a second. If Google gets in trouble for promoting its own products, then why shouldn't Apple get in trouble for promoting its own product if it's now a platform?
You mean by putting
as a restraint of trade against Google?
Well,
so is Apple?
I'll tell you why it doesn't bother.
I know the answer, but there's just some kind of if everybody goes after Google for promoting your own stuff.
Because Google's not a normal company, Jeff. Google has a higher responsibility as a search engine. Apple is a normal company. They sell a hardware product. They make their own software. They're not an agnostic search engine.
Well, but wait a second. So what's the difference? So whether it's a hardware product or whether it's, shall we say, an operating system with a browser in it, the difference between Apple and Microsoft. I'm just trying to,
that's a legitimate case where you could say, look, Apple has a huge. Do they have a monopoly? Because that was the only reason it made a difference for Microsoft, right? They had a monopoly.
Neither does Microsoft. Neither does Google.
No, Microsoft. They did have a monopoly. That's why the browser thing was an issue because they had a monopoly.
Say for Apple, but Apple has a huge market share. I mean, what's Apple's market share?
There's a difference between big. It's less than 50%. There's a difference between big market share and monopoly. Huge difference.
Well, and same for Google. Same goes for Google. Google has 65%, 63% in the U.S.
It's not a monopoly.
Not a monopoly.
Not a monopoly of search. So I don't think they have a legal responsibility. I'm not asserting that.
I'm not arguing in this favor.
I'm saying they have a moral responsibility not to promote their products on search, which is supposed to be agnostic.
But the same with, so I'm captive to this phone. I'm captive for 2 years. And now suddenly they're just going to change on me and say, no, Jeff, we're going to give you these maps instead. Right? And they're using that stranglehold to do that. Right? And all I'm trying to say is I'm not believing what I'm saying right now. Just to be clear, I'm trying to.
That makes it easier to argue against you.
Yes. Yep.
You don't really believe that, do you? No, I know. I get what you're saying, and but look, really, Apple's this should come as no surprise. In fact, the surprise was that Apple was even allowing Google's Maps on its phone. Apple wants to control the entire user experience. And the only reason they don't 100% control, look at is because they don't have the resources to. Now they have the maps. They're going to push Google out, I'm sure.
Right. So what's the harm of Google promoting its own stuff then, using its own service?
Because
search results.
So if what if Google decides?
I don't care if Google buys a billboard promoting its own services. I don't want them to taint search results. And the only risk to Google, there's no legal risk to Google. It's merely that people will leave Google saying, I can't trust the results. The problem is Bing is even worse.
Yeah.
And Google said, do no evil, which was a response to paid search results. Google implied that they would be above
I made that argument myself a few weeks ago. Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, I think everybody gets so paranoid about Google. And
well, everybody's paranoid about Apple, but it's just kind of known. It's a known thing. It's like, of course, Apple's. You're surprised that Apple's predacious. You're surprised Apple wants to win at all costs. Really? I think it's been a long time since people did used to think of Apple this way, but it's been a long time since people thought of Apple as the nice company, the do no evil company, the company that cares more about you than profits. Nobody's thought that about Apple in a long time, have they? No. All right. No. We still like their stuff.
Yeah.
But we know that they're out to get us.
Yeah.
By the way, Google is not the only company bypassing Apple's privacy in iAds. This is apparently, I don't know if I have that story here. I'll tell you what, I'll save it because I do want to talk about this. There's other.
I think it's in there.
Is it in here?
I think.
I do want to talk a little bit about this because this was what Google got in a lot of trouble. It turns out everybody's doing it, apparently. But first, I'm looking. I don't see it. First, let's talk about Stamps.com. How about that? And then we'll come back. Jeff and Gina are here. We're talking about Google. Jeff, I know you got about a half an hour left.
No, we're fine. We're fine. Half an hour, 45 minutes.
Well, don't make it soft because I'll take every minute you give me.
I'm very neurotic about making planes. I'm extremely neurotic. My mother got to the airport's 2 hours early.
Oh, don't do. Be like Bill Gates. You know what Bill Gates would do? He
owns the freaking plane.
No. Before when he used to fly economy. This is when he used to fly economy. He would wait to the very last minute. He knew exactly how long it would take to get from Microsoft's Redmond headquarters to the SeaTac. He would time it to the minute. He would arrive. His goal was to arrive as the door was closing. And he would do it every time. I know.
Oh, that's way too stressful.
And then he'd get in the plane and he'd cover his head with a jacket and go to sleep. And that was it. That's the last. He's famous.
Now those would all be the signs for being a terrorist.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, Mr. Gates. Take your shoes off now. We're brought to you today by the fines. Anyway, we'll get you out of here at a reason. When's your flight?
Okay. 8:30.
So you have a 5:30 flight?
No. I'm a car picking me up here 5:45.
Okay, so it's 5 your time now.
I'm at Don Mills Road.
Oh, I know where you are.
You know Toronto.
Oh, it's easy to get to Toronto Airport. It won't take you any time. Especially on a what night is this? Wednesday night? Oh, no problem.
How many flights have you ever missed, Leo?
I've only missed one. I don't. I'm actually famous for doing exactly what you do.
Oh, okay. All right.
I am late for everything. I mean, everybody knows this. It's Leo time, right? I'm always late. I was late for this show. But I'm always early for flights because there's a big difference. I'm late for Twig, not a big deal. If I'm late for a flight, your whole life it's a mess.
Awful.
Rush hour in Toronto, it's not bad. No, I shouldn't say that. We'll get you out of there at 5:30. In fact, I don't know if you're going to make it. I used to do the same thing because at the end of every week, I would go up to Toronto, shoot 15 shows in 4 days. The last show would be the last thing on Friday, and I would make 7:30 flights. I would leave at 5:30 from downtown.
Wow.
Yeah, and I would rush in. All right. This show brought to you by Stamps.com. Stamps.com. You can't use it in Canada, sorry. It's only for us Americans. Stamps.com. I have yet, you know, it's funny. I thought we would get complaints from our internet because, you know, a third of our audience is international saying, why can't we use Stamps.com in our country? Well, because it's United States postage. I guess you could, but it wouldn't be much use to you. Here's the idea. You can print, and other countries I think are doing this. The technical term is indicia. You can print legal postage, legal U.S. postage from your computer and your printer. You don't need a postage meter anymore. You don't need special inks. You just need Stamps.com. And it means you will never go to the post office again. You get the USB scale, so you always have exactly the right postage for any letter or package. It prints right on the envelope if you want, which is so cool. Or you could print stickies, just like a regular stamp. In fact, it even fills out forms for international mailing. If you're an Amazon or eBay seller, it gets the data from the site and populates the mailing label. It's just fantastic. But wait, we have a special offer. Now, see right there, it's special $80 value. That is a good deal. No, I got a better deal. We're going to add $30 to it right now. Just click that microphone in the upper right-hand corner and use the offer code TWIG, T-W-I-G. And now that $80 offer is suddenly $110, $55 in postage coupons, the free digital scale, you just pay shipping and handling, $5 supply kit, and 4-week trial offer of Stamps.com. You even get discounts you can't get at the post office. Post office wants you to use Stamps.com. That's why they offer up to 21% off express mail, up to 15% off priority mail when you use Stamps.com. In fact, if you use it a lot, it could basically be free. It's more professional. It's easier to use. You'll never make another trip to the post office. You just use Stamps.com, and then the mail carrier comes and gets it. You can even schedule a free pickup. The post office loves Stamps.com. So will you. I want you to try it right now. Stamps.com, offer code TWIG. It says $55 offer on our page right there on the front. That's wrong, too. It's $110. $110 bonus offer. Use the offer code TWIG. Stamps.com. So did you find the story?
Yes, it's under privacy. It's the last one.
Okay. Ad networks bypass. Now, we should qualify this. The one reason I bring it up on Twig is because you and I have both been very critical of the Journal for their privacy stories, saying they often, are crying wolf. In this case, Jessica Vassarello and Joel Sheckman writing that mobile ad networks are doing something similar to what Google did to target iPhone users by circumventing Apple's privacy protections. Apple said after the Google, brouhaha, that it wouldn't allow app makers to use the unique ID in phones and pads to track users. So ad networks that serve advertisements within mobile apps have started using new unique identifiers, cookies in effect, that collect information like location and preferences as the user moves across apps. Now, this isn't with iAds. This is with other ad networks. iAds hasn't really gotten much traction, so there are a lot of other ad networks on the iPhone. The networks, now this is the argument that we were having about tracking. The networks claim it will cost them millions of dollars a week in lost revenue if they can't target you. Personal data is needed. Mazda, Nikon, and eHarmony, according to the Wall Street Journal, are all employing tracking systems in their ads. Now, the brands aren't doing it directly, but maybe they don't even know about it because they're using ad agencies and these ad platforms. But the ad platforms aren't doing it. In fact, the Journal talked to Mazda, and the director of digital marketing said she wasn't aware that ad networks were doing this. But she said, hey, if this becomes more widely adopted, we would like to use the anonymous identifiers to target customers for campaigns based on geography and lifestyle. The advertisers would love this.
So the issue is that mobile Safari, by default, only accepts cookies from the site that you visited, right? So if I go to twit.tv,
right. And that's what Google ended around it.
Right. And so, Google and these ad networks are working around that because they want their pages, they want users to be able to accept cookies from, say, DoubleClick or some ad network.
Which would then allow them to track. So what DoubleClick would do is every time you went to a site with a DoubleClick ad, it would say, well, who are you, where are you, what are you doing?
Right.
And so aggregating that data.
Right. And by default, mobile Safari disallows that. So now these ad networks want access to the UDID of the device?
Well, they're not allowed to. Apple says no, so they're creating their own in effect. Or they're using other IDs.
Yeah, let's be clear here. Basically, there is no first site ad serving. Everyone uses third-party ad serving, either because it is a lot more efficient and inexpensive to use a double-click or such, or because the ad agencies and their clients insist upon it. As I've said in the show before, that GM and Procter & Gamble were the first two gigantic advertisers to insist on serving their own ads so they could verify what they had. So this idea that, oh my God, they're sending to third-party, that's always been the case and will be the case when it comes to advertising. And if that were to turn around, then you're putting a huge burden onto sites. Ad serving is expensive and it's difficult. I know, because we used to run our
So is ad sales. You don't want to do any of that. You want a third party to do that.
Yeah. So it's not, that's become, it's like the word tracking is demonized, so is third parties. We have 3 people here. One of us is a third party.
Well, to you, both of us are third parties.
Well, you see. And I see you. You're watching me. I can see it. You're tracking me. Sorry.
But okay, so for the sake of argument, though, you see the 3 of us, right? But for people who don't understand how the web works, and I agree that this is a standard way that the web works. If you visit a site, twit.tv, as a user, you see twit.tv in the URL bar. You expect that this is an interaction that you're having with Twit.
With only
right?
Twit, right?
But then again,
Gina,
during the course of the show,
when you load a page and you look at the load, don't you see everything popping up there from sites all over, including, by the way, Facebook and Google Analytics and whatever and whatever.
Stamps.com or AdSense or whatever. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, I trust that Leo is going to do ads from companies that he's vetted and chosen to do business with.
We don't do targeted advertising. All our advertising is targeted by de facto because they assume that there's a tech audience, but we don't know anything about our audience.
Right.
You know what's funny is that, and maybe this would make people feel better if it were widely known, the ad tracking people say, we don't want to know people's names. It's actually noise.
Yeah, was that in that story? It was in one of the stories we had on the rundown this week. It was fascinating. Yeah, because it said that it's information we don't need. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't help us. We don't care what your name is. We just want to know where you are, how much you make, what things you like. Are you about to buy a car?
Well, we want to know whether you've seen this same ad 10 times already, so we don't A, waste our money on you, and B, disturb you. Listen, I think that it would probably be a good thing for you. Let's use this as an example in Twig. If you had the capability to know whether I was an iPhone user or an Android user, that would allow you to serve up, let's say, app ads, Gina's app ads, appropriate to the user, and those ads would be less noisy to the user.
Well, and that's what I think users need to understand is this actually improves their experience.
So, Gina, I take your point.
Nobody cares. So these are the 2 things that if you really wanted to defend, first of all, you got to stop using the word tracking cookies. But if you really wanted to defend this process, you would say, A, we don't care what your name is. We don't care about your personal identity. That's irrelevant. It's noise. We don't want it in the database. And B, all we're trying to do is nobody's going to believe this, but is make your experience better. We want to give you ads for products you're interested in. Don't want to overdo it.
Yeah, so,
Gina,
I'm down with that. I agree. I think that, however, I do think that users should have the ability to turn that off if they want. I don't think that should be the default. I think I've come to the place where I think that Apple's being too restrictive, making that the default setting.
Well, get ready, because Microsoft has announced that Do Not Track is going to be the default in IE 10.
Oh, it's going to be on by default?
On by default. Now,
oh, wow.
Most of our users don't use IE, but it's still by far the majority browser, I think, out there.
That's a big deal.
I'm not sure if it still is, but it's still obviously huge.
It's big.
Right, and it doesn't affect Microsoft's business, but it does affect media's business badly.
Google doesn't even have Do Not Track in Chrome because it understands how important this is. Google's an ad network, basically.
Right. Microsoft is
they're
not.
an advertiser company.
And I think Microsoft says, hey, we could stick it to Google. And
well,
Facebook.
That's what you see companies that are not dependent upon advertising or are de-emphasizing advertising, and I throw News Corp into that because it is a paid content company now, and Microsoft sells other things, other products.
And by the way, consumers are going to love this. This is going to sell Windows 8. It's going to sell IE 10.
The fact that Do Not Track is on?
Yes.
Right,
that's why people were so upset at Google, because Do Not Track was on in mobile Safari. And Google said, well, we can't do likes, we can't do pluses, so we have to get around this. That was the thing that upset people, is that Google was bypassing Do Not Track.
Right, but you're saying that Microsoft is going to sell IE 10.
I think
this is a security feature, right? Like
absolutely. Why else would they make a big announcement?
Right. Yeah. Yep.
And it just, I think it's FUD.
Yeah, I think so too. Gina, I want to come back and agree with you on one thing. Absolutely true that
users should have a choice. I agree. Yep.
Well, that we screwed it up in my industries, right? In media, advertising, and technology, we were not clear. It enabled the demonization. It's there because people don't know, and that's stupid. It's just downright stupid, and it's probably damage that these industries will never recover from. But I go to media companies now, and I see what goes on with advertising pictures, and they have to be going more toward knowing signals about you if they're going to survive.
I think it also distracts from other more important privacy concerns.
Yes.
That's the problem. If you get you get all head up about these issues, then you don't pay attention to, say, for instance, there is a very rapid mass movement towards electronic health care, electronic patient records. And just read a very good article that said one of the issues with a lot of the laws the states are passing right now is it's all or nothing. You can say, I don't want to have my health record shared. But what you can't say is, I want relevant information shared, but not irrelevant information. The example he used was, let's say you had a venereal disease. Actually, he didn't use this, but I'll use this. You had a venereal disease 10 years ago, and you're going to a podiatrist because you want a bunion removed. The podiatrist says, well, can I see your health records? In many states, you will only have the option of yes or no. You won't say, yeah, but you can't see the venereal disease that I had. You cannot control it. Well, and this is a big issue, a big privacy issue that is completely ignored because we're all worried about tracking cookies.
But Leo, hold on. I go to a big medical group. Everybody has my full record there. They don't give me the right to go in and say, I'll show this to that doctor and that doctor, because it would be insanely difficult for them. And as Doc Searles has pointed out, when he had a bad choice that he and his doctor made with a health problem he had a couple of years ago, not having electronic access to your full file is probably far more dangerous than somebody knowing you have herpes.
In fact, that's what the Director of Health and Human Services just said, is you're 600% more times, 6 times more likely to have mistreatment if you don't share this information.
And then there's an issue to society. I spoke by a conference call lunch session with a bunch of people at the CDC about 2 weeks ago because of public parts. And what they're doing is seeing the benefit of shared data at scale and how that can lead to speedy monitoring of spreading diseases, correlations, maybe causation. And so they're asking, how do we get around this? Now, one problem they have is they have a department that's all about surveillance. And I said, can you please get rid of that word? Health surveillance? That's freaking people out. You think tracking is bad? You guys talking about surveilling my health?
Well, but you're Mr. Open Privacy Advocate, so you're saying that health records should just, if they're shared, they should be shared 100%.
No, I'm saying a few things. I'm saying that we have to have a conversation. The starting
that's my point, is that we're ignoring something that's very important for privacy issues. I'm just pick that out of the air as an example.
No, it's right. And part of that discussion has to be the balance of fear and benefit, and that there are benefits to you individually to have all of your health data together. There are benefits to you as a member of society and your neighbors to know that there is a outbreak of whatever disease or breast cancer or prostate cancer in your neighborhood and it's in the water. Those are benefits that we need to discuss too. and I would argue that no one should be forced out of any health closet ever. But there are reasons, there are good and sane and rational reasons to share. And that's what I want to be part of the conversation. But the discussion always starts with, oh my God, health. And my other point is, why in this day and age should anyone be ashamed of being sick? It's not like the Black Plague.
Well, that's
where
true.
People saw, a black.
Well, what if? Yeah,
good point.
The example the author used was rape.
Yes, but we've seen cases of, there's a very famous editor who did this, who, and again, forced no one out of their closet of confidentiality, but who said it's time to take the shame off that.
Well, I agree, but.
Well, and there's HIV, which means, a lot of people assume that you're a drug user or that you're gay. But yeah, I agree that this shouldn't be an issue, and it's getting better, right?
I'm not so sure. No, I'm me, Mr. Optimist all the time. No, I think we're shutting down more because of this kind of fear, because of this change that it brings. And so that's why I wrote a whole damn book. But I don't know, Gina. I mean, we were opening up in some ways, but we had this great conversation a few months ago about what you would tell your grandmother, 40 years ago versus today. Which I think was a very personal way to look at this, that the society has obviously changed around and with us and because of us. But still, I'm a little worried these days.
I did, however, delete my LinkedIn account today.
Oh.
Well, I don't need it, and B, I don't want my calendar information shared with LinkedIn, which apparently they've been doing, similar to what Path was doing with the address book information, except that I think the calendar information could even be more if you're a CEO and you've got private, there's all sorts of stuff in there, right?
So this is if you had the LinkedIn app installed on your phone, it would upload your calendar data from your.
Yeah, and LinkedIn said, well, we did that because we want to see if you're meeting with somebody else. We know we could, give you that kind of information. But they didn't tell anybody they were doing this. They didn't warn anybody that they were saving it, that it was being saved on the servers, and it's just like Path. It's another one of them.
Okay.
So and then 6.4 million LinkedIn passwords were leaked, including mine. I went and checked.
No, I won't get ahead of us. That's Gina's tip. But
okay.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
I won't say anything then. Anyway, all I'm saying is I decided I don't think I'll be looking for work again. So
this is interesting. So when the Path issue happened, Leo, you didn't think it was that big a deal, right? Because you would get an email occasionally saying, "Hey, your friend joined Path."
I didn't think it was a big deal because I understood that that's what they would have to do it.
You understood that that's what they were doing,
right?
But you didn't realize that LinkedIn was doing this.
There's no indication that they're sharing your calendar. Now, I don't use the LinkedIn iOS app, but if I were, right. I think it's kind of inappropriate to upload your calendar. They're taking the calendar for the iOS calendar and uploading it.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I think that's crazy, but I didn't like what Path was doing in the beginning either. But this is the same conversation that we've been having. Like, at what point can you justify sharing data in the interest of a better experience? And I have a hard time with like, let's be nice to the media companies and help them keep their business model. I look at it more as like a user experience issue, right? Like if you can argue that it's a better user experience, then great, then people can make business models around that, and that's fine.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But this is kind of a similar situation, right? Like if you're going to have a better experience on Path, then why shouldn't it share your address book? Or if you're going to have a better experience on LinkedIn, setting up meetings or whatever people do on LinkedIn, why shouldn't they grab your calendar? Which it just seems absurd. But where's the line? What's the line? I guess is really the question.
Anyway, and after the passwords got hacked, I thought, this is fine. Yeah. I don't need LinkedIn anymore.
Yeah, although LinkedIn's been around for so long, my password for LinkedIn is one of my old passwords that I set up like before I started using LastPass and more secure tools. So yeah,
if you've been using the same password on other sites, you probably do want to.
Yeah, you got to go change them all.
Change them all. So the Electronic Frontier Foundation has published a new "Who's Got Your Back?" I love this. I guess they do this on a regular basis. They do a table of, they grade internet companies on their privacy policies and their practices, particularly when the government comes a-knocking. And let me see if I can find, because I think Twitter's pretty good.
Yeah, Twitter's
3.5 gold stars out of 4.
Twitter's doing a lot of good stuff.
Yeah,
they're I think very consciously
I've got it
established
here,
themselves as a leader in this.
So the 4 categories are when the government comes a-calling, will the company tell users about the data demands, be transparent about government requests, fight for user privacy in the courts, fight for user privacy in Congress. There aren't very many people that will tell you that the government's asking. I think in some cases...
Well, but some things they're not allowed to.
They're not like Patriot Act.
So I think they may say that they're going to tell you, but
Google
they can't say.
Gets 2 half stars and 2 full stars. LinkedIn, one blank star on fight for user privacy in the courts. SonicNet, which is our local internet service provider here, 4 stars. They do it all, baby. I like Sonic.
Very nice.
Yeah. That's Dane Jasper. We've had him on before. Great guy. And he really cares about this stuff. He's got a political axe to grind. Twitter's pretty good, 3.5 stars. Verizon, 0 stars. Skype, 0 stars. MySpace, 0 stars. Foursquare, Dens, 0 stars.
Oh.
That means Foursquare neither tells you that the government asked, is transparent about it, fights for you, or goes to Congress or anything. They just
I'm going to bet that's a case of small company.
Yeah.
Startup.
Yeah, because I know Dens cares about that stuff.
He's great. I'm going to be there tomorrow for a meeting. I'll ask him.
Ask him. EFF.org/pages/who-has-your-back. --
Google did pretty well here. They're
Google
kind of right in the middle.
Yeah,
they did all right.
I think a big company, very few companies can go to Congress, can fight for user privacy in Congress. In fact, I'm surprised at the number of companies that do have stars in that column. The easy thing would be to tell users about data demands, and as you say, Jeff, in some cases they're not allowed. Patriot Act, for instance, disallows. If a grocery store gets a Patriot Act request for who buys hummus, they can't tell anybody. It's a secret. Let's see. Google told by the EC to play ball or face a trial. I just do these EC stories to see him.
Just to get me going.
See him steam. Google's been given an ultimatum by the European Commission. Straighten up or we'll take you to court. Screw it. I'm not going to do the story.
Yeah, okay. No,
who cares? Something we might see at Google I.O., a Google set-top box that will play movie streams from Android phones and tablets. That's interesting.
Yeah, that seems like an obvious next
kind of
step
AirPlay.
AirPlay-ish. Yeah.
So
you install an app on your iPhone, on your Android device, and you're watching a video or listening to music, and you send it to your Google TV.
This Google TV, I guess, was being shown at Computex, which is the big Taiwanese computer show that's going on, or just ended, I guess. They showed a new Google TV box with Android 4, a Marvell dual-core ARM A9 processor, 4 gigs of flash memory, 1 gig of RAM, ports for micro SD, Ethernet, and HDMI video. Wow. This is from a company called Honeywell.
Honeywell.
The Honeywell? No, Honeywild. HONEYWLD.
Sounds like a porn company.
Honeywell.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Honeywild.
Honeywild. Honeywild.
Between $95 and $120. That would be a cool product.
Yeah, that's cheap. Cheap.
It's for the Taiwanese market, unfortunately. I could do that. That's one of the things I like about DLNA, which is basically what AirPlay is. AirPlay is Apple's branded DLNA. That's the same standard. Many TVs and other devices can see DLNA. That's how I can play music from my Galaxy S3 or video. A lot of phones now have DLNA, Android especially. Well, iPhones don't. Google bought Quick Office. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Do they really need it, or is that a Trojan horse into iOS devices?
Quick Office, for those who don't know, is an iOS app that lets you open Office apps from iOS. They've been around for a long time. I remember having Quick Office, I think, on BlackBerry. They've been around for a long time. Google says it has to do with Google Apps. Today, consumers, businesses, and schools use Google Apps to get stuff done from anywhere with anyone on any device. Quick Office, well, I guess they want, Quick Office experience on iOS, the Google Apps experience on iOS is not very good.
Yeah.
Right now, Quick Office is for Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and it does let those files run on Android and iOS devices. So This could be good. It also acquired Meebo.
Yeah, I haven't heard Meebo in like 7 years.
No.
I was like, wait, is that chat thing?
Yeah.
All about
Who
Meebo.
uses Meebo?
Didn't it change, though? Didn't it pivot?
Social platform. It began as browser-based instant messaging client. Then they had the Meebo bar, which allows you to chat on TV Guide, TMZ, Entertainment Weekly. Now the website will team up with a search engine giant for future unidentified adventures. Wait a minute. That's PC Magazine. Stephanie Miot running in PC Magazine. Future unidentified adventures. Together, Meebo said, together with Google, we're super jazzed to roll up our sleeves and get cracking on even bigger and better ways to help users and website owners alike.
Super jazzed.
I'm super jazzed. Okay. They said the alleged asking price was $100 million. I am in the wrong business. What am I doing? I should have started a web-based IM platform.
Multi-user chat rooms. It'll be interesting to see how this will manifest itself in Google Plus, or if it ever does, if it was just about acquiring the team.
What do you think? What are the bets that we will get Google Glasses under our chairs at I.O.?
I don't know. I
Zero.
keep seeing reports and videos. There's a trampoline video, somebody wearing the glasses.
I think what will happen is that you might be the first people to actually be able to put them on in a booth somewhere.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That's worth it?
Right.
That's worth it. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Twitter says we're going to have $1 billion in ad revenue year after next.
That surprised the heck out of me.
Not this year, not next year, the year after. 2014.
But they even have, what, 525 now surprised me, which I guess is a good thing. What ads they have are unobtrusive.
I don't know how they got $500 million in revenue from what they're doing.
Either.
It was $139.5 million last year. This year they said $540 million. Wait a minute.
So this is just from promoted tweets and promoted users.
I mean, how else are they advertising?
Yeah, and maybe advertising in search results.
Huh.
I'll tell you, I go to Twitter a lot to search. We had a power outage in my area. First place I went.
Oh yeah, it's what I do now.
Mean, it's what you do. I mean, you just expect that the local news is going to be reporting the tweets later. So
right.
I might as well just look for the tweets.
Go to the source. The original tweets. And I use it like on Sunday. The TWiT video feed was messed up, and somebody told me that, and so I went to Twitter to see if it was true. I'm not kidding.
That could be our coast. I'm going to jump ahead since I'll probably be gone anyway.
We're going to wrap.
There were some Pew numbers out about a week ago, right after our show. And what's interesting is that the acceptance, the adoption of Twitter has not gone up that much, but the engagement with it has, which Pew is guessing comes from mobile. So in November 2010, 8% of online adults used Twitter. 2% used it daily. All right. In May 2011, 13% used Twitter, 4% daily. Now, jumping ahead to now, 15% use Twitter at all, 8% daily. So it's still a pretty small adoption to be able to be something valuable for that kind of news of having enough people around you that when the power is out, there's going to be somebody else who's on Twitter who knows about it, who's saying something.
Well, it's kind of interesting because it sounds like you don't need a critical mass to make this valuable.
Yeah. It's the 1, 9, and 100% rule, right? The 1% of people in social situations are extremely active, 10% somewhat active, and 90% lurk. And you only need 1%. I mean, it's Clay Shirky's rule about Wikipedia that less than 2% of the users of Wikipedia make Wikipedia, and if you doubled that, it'd be chaos.
By the way, I can tweet from my Galaxy S3 by voice, which I cannot do with Siri.
Oh,
I could say.
Oh, that's neat.
I could say Twitter. Oops, I think I just did.
Voice for Jesse up to.
Oh, the voice is not nearly as nice as.
Well, you have a choice. They have a Samsung voice, and this is a Google voice.
Please repeat your request.
Twitter. Is it time for me to talk? Twitter update. I'm tweeting from my Galaxy S3 phone. Period. Wow.
You must log into Twitter to update your status.
Well,
In password.
I thought I did. I already did. Anyway, that's, by the way, that's the thing that Apple is suing over. They say that that's too much like Siri. It's actually much better than, I'm sorry, didn't mean to offend you. I think it's actually much better than Siri. You can set alarms, weather, turn Wi-Fi on, tweet. You can say, how high is Mount Everest? You can play music, as you saw, set tasks. You can do memos. You can navigate. Look up contacts. I could say, look up, let's try it. Look up Gina Trapani. See if it.
I found Gina Trapani in your address book.
I love it. Gina Trapani.
Nice.
She
Nice.
doesn't know how to say your name.
She says it like I do. Trapani. I found Gina Trapani in your address book. Yeah, Apple invented this. I don't know how come Samsung could possibly do this. Apple, get off it. Just make a better phone, please. Sean, did you see Sean Parker and Sean Fanning's Airtime launch yesterday?
Do you get it?
I didn't see the launch, but it sounded like I shouldn't have missed it. It sounds like it was
Nightmare.
terrible. Yeah, it was like horrible, wonderful, wonderfully horrible.
Well, they had Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Jim Carrey, Snoop Dogg, Jimmy Fallon. So, you know, I mean, this is
How's
Sean.
that for showing off your Rolodex?
Yeah, this is Sean Parker going, I know the big guys. And unfortunately, nothing worked. So these guys were like, apparently Julia Louis-Dreyfus was not happy. At one point, they had, what's her name, saying, no, really, it worked much better.
Olivia Munn,
It really worked much better.
whose video froze.
This is not how it's supposed to be. Anyway, that's it. I don't get it. It's
chat roulette without penises, right? But how do they assure that?
Well, this is an interesting thing. I mean, they're apparently they're taking screenshots. They're doing all sorts of stuff. I'm not too moved to use it. It looks at what it does is it's a side-by-side video, and it uses your social graph to say, hey, would you like to talk to Jeff Jarvis? I don't want to talk to random people out of my social graph just for no reason.
I don't either. Well, I don't want to do it randomly. I do go on the Google Plus once in a rare while, and I just decide to go on a hangout and see who shows up. But then we know who we're talking to.
Right.
Yeah.
To have them assigned. It's the same as when I wrote a couple of years ago about the notion of a social airline. There have now been
what's
two
a social
companies.
airline?
Well, the idea is that you could sit next to who you want to, and you could do other things. And so KLM and another company here with Air Baltic, they sent me a press release, just set this up so that the airline, Air Baltic, will find you a compatible person to sit next to. Well, no, I want
That's
somebody
interesting.
I want the opposite, all right? I want somebody who doesn't want to talk to me, and I don't want to talk to them. What I really want is, if I'm going to South by Southwest together, then let's find out who else I know is on the flight, and then give us the option to sit next together. Now, that would be cool.
For South by, it would be, but most flights are so random. There's not going to be anybody.
So random, you don't want it. Yeah. So this idea of giving me somebody random, but
no, because then I'd have to talk to them.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do enough of that.
I don't want to talk to anybody. That's why airtime doesn't excite me. It's like I thought I would want to be a ham, so I passed all the tests, got all the equipment. Then I realized, no, I talk all day. I want to go home and shut up.
Well, Ms. Hardaway just came in and said you can choose who to talk to. It's like a pretty Skype.
A pretty Skype.
I thought it served you.
Oh no, it doesn't. No, it's not random. But you have a list of people you might want to call, I guess.
Oh, I see.
Well, I don't know. Sarah used it, and did you choose that person, Sarah, or did you just pop up? She's not there. I got the impression it just popped up.
It's a mix. So you can see your friends on that you have friended, and you could give them a call, or you can just say, using my social graph, find someone who's interesting.
So you get to say, give me somebody random, or hey, let's talk to Jeff. But I mean, Skype does the let's talk to Jeff thing. I don't,
Yeah.
I guess you could go like this with Skype. Meeny, meeny, miny, mo, boom, and then call that person.
Well, I did something 2 days ago. I saw these two people I know from Northwestern's Medill School of Journalism, and they just did, obviously, a public hangout. I could tell because it was labeled Medill Hangout.
Right.
But I said, what the hell? They just did it publicly, so they were just starting up. So I click in.
That's cool.
Jarvis, what are you doing here, right? And I so much thought I'd say hello and all that. And they said, well, it's a faculty meeting. I said, oh, I'm going to run away as fast from that as possible.
By the way, that was Chad Johnson, the old redhead, our new producer on the show, who is just dynamite. Dynamite.
It seems like Airtime is tackling kind of the same problem. We're trying to create the same experience that Google Plus Hangouts
Right. Exactly.
Right. And I just figured out that I'm just too old for Hangouts. Like, I think Hangouts are really useful.
Hangouts are cool.
Young people who are a lot more outgoing than I am. And, you know, and I think probably Airtime is a similar thing. But it seems like just maybe a little bit of a different approach. I mean, we've had so many video chat products come out in the past couple of years, right? FaceTime and Hangouts and now Airtime. I wasn't that like, oh, I have to have that, but it just seems like it's this problem that different companies are trying to solve in different ways. Like, how can I chat with someone?
If it weren't Sean Parker and Sean Fanning, I don't think they would have gotten any attention at all.
Oh, well, that's clear, yeah. I mean, deep pockets, big names. Right. You're going to have a launch like that, yeah.
We're going to take a break, come back with our...
Leo, can I do a favor?
Yeah.
Can I give you a number and then dash?
Yes, because you got a plane to catch.
I got a plane to catch.
So we'll do Gina's tip and my tool, but Jeff's number.
Thank you. So different ones. So there's this. I go in now. I try to make it a habit to go into Kickstarter and find new stuff, and I found this great little thing that happens to be called the Twig. And the Twig is a really nice bendable USB charging cable for your iPhone. I presume iPad too. And it's really nice, and so I contributed to it, and they're now double their goal of $50,000, 50 days to go. And so I thought I'd just give them, since the name is serendipitous, if we don't want to sue them.
No, I love it. That's not a problem.
It's a neat little device. So if you scroll down, you see all the uses for it. What I like is not having a wire in my briefcase, that I can use a connector that's not a wire.
Now, you understand that they better hurry, because apparently Apple is eliminating the 30-pin port on the iPhone. They're going to a micro USB port from what the rumor mill seems to indicate.
Which is not a bad thing. Oy.
Yeah. So there's still time, 50 days to go. They've already got 100,000 of their 50,000 goal. It's a shorter, bendy.
Bend it and use it as a if you scroll down.
It's a Gumby.
Well, that's the inspiration.
It's a Gumby for the iPhone. Oh, look, and it can be a tripod.
It can be a tripod. It can be
that's very cool.
Oh, that's neat.
Oh, I love this.
Isn't this cool?
Now, they have to license the 30-pin port, you understand?
Yeah.
I guess that's probably where most of the money's going to go.
I'll bet. So I thought it was cool.
That's neat.
Given the name coincidence, I thought I'd give them a little
neat.
Like
there you go.
And it's a cord wrap too.
It's a cord wrap, yeah.
That is clever.
And it's a pocket protector. This does everything.
It does.
It solves the world's problems. It's Twig. Wow.
It's amazing how Kickstarter's become this market for iPhone accessories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
The amazing ultra-portable cable for your iPhone. If you search for Kickstarter and Twig, you'll find it pretty quickly. Good. I like it. Thank you, Jeff. Safe travels. We'll see you back in the U.S. of A.
Safe flight, Jeff.
From Washington next week.
From D.C. He's a traveling fool.
You fool is it.
All right. Take care, Jeff. We're going to have more. We get Gina's tip and my tool of the week. But first, a word from Squarespace. This should be my tool. I love Squarespace. The secret behind exceptional websites, everything you need to make a wonderful website, including, of course, the best hosting in the business. There is none better than Squarespace, and the best content management system. So you get great software on top of a great hosting platform, always secure, always up to date, because they take care of that. You don't have to. It's fully managed. You focus on what you want to do, which really is the content, I presume. This is not a good site if you want to hack around with Apache, mess around with .ht access, upload, fixes and patches to your software. This is for people who want to post content. And whether it's photo galleries for the photographer, importing from your existing blog, movable type, WordPress, Typepad, or Blogger, using the iOS or Android apps for editing and creating content and moderating comments. Oh, it's got everything you need. You're going to love it. Take a look at the example sites. Take a tour. They even have great free workshops for Squarespace customers at workshops.squarespace.com. I don't think there is a better platform for creating your new website than Squarespace. I want you to visit it right now and try it free. You don't even need to use the offer code. Just click the try it free button. You got 2 weeks of Squarespace. If you decide you want to buy, that's when you want to use the offer code TWIG6. And do note, somebody said your offer code's no good because they were listening to an old show. It updates every month. This is June, so it's the 6th a month, right? So TWIG, TWIG 6. So always use the current month and TWIG in the number. Now, what is the offer this time? Well, I'll tell you. 10% off your first purchase on new accounts. So get the yearly plan because that's going to be the most savings. And in fact, by the way, the new pricing is very affordable. Websites are as low as $8 a month. And if you want the unlimited plan, which really is an amazing deal, unlimited pages, bandwidth, storage, and with either, it's $16 a month. And with either plan, when you buy the annual plan, you get a free custom domain. So you can have your own domain. They'll hook it up so it's automatic. And use the offer code TWIG6. You're going to take 10% off. Now, that's a great deal. The Google Web Font Library, 300 fonts fully integrated, 24/7 support from a really good support team. Widgets for Twitter and Flickr and Facebook, and on and on. And Google Maps, on and on and on. I want you to try it. Free. Go to squarespace.com, click the try it free button. Just remember, when you sign up, use TWIG6 as the offer code, and you'll get 10% off your first purchase. Gina Trapani, your tip of the week.
Well, LinkedIn had a password leak this week, so you should be auditing your passwords. You should change your LinkedIn password. You should make sure you're not using the same password everywhere. You should, use LastPass or KeePass or some sort of secure password tool. But if you're worried, if you haven't looked at LinkedIn in a while and maybe you're using an old password, if you want to know whether or not your password was in one of the leaks, the leaked file, you can go to leakedin.org. Which is actually kind of slow today because I think a lot of people are.
It's busy.
Exactly. But leakedin.org. If you enter your password on the page, now normally I would never tell you to enter your password on a random page, but you're not entering your username, just your password, and that page actually hashes the password on its side, so you're not submitting your plain text password to the service. All it does is check to see whether or not your password was in the was leaked or not, and mine wasn't. So I got that great little message. Looks like your password wasn't leaked. Hooray! Either way,
mine was, by the way.
Oh, yours was. Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people whose password was leaked. And I know a lot of people who said, I signed up for LinkedIn forever ago. This is the same thing with me, and I used an old password. And back then, I used to use the same password for everything. If your password was leaked and you were using a simple password and you use that same password other places, go change your password everywhere and start using different secure passwords everywhere. But leakedin.org, useful service. I think a programmer kind of threw that up real fast after the password leak.
Yeah, it's really cool.
They'll tell you whether or not your
safe.
Info got out.
We talked about it. Steve Gibson, I asked Steve Gibson about it, and he said, no, the JavaScript is all local. So they are what they're doing is they're using the same hash technology, SHA-1, on whatever you submit. They're doing it locally so that it never sends that password back to their servers. And then you submit the resulting hash to their servers, and they compare it with a database of leaked hashes. And so, unfortunately, I had a good long random password that I generated. And so even though they had it, it's very unlikely they would have been able to hack my account. They're only able to reverse the hashes on kind of crappy, obvious passwords.
Right, weak passwords. What are you using now, Leo? Do you use LastPass?
LastPass.
Yeah, me too. Yep.
And so what I did, just in case, is I used LastPass to generate a new password and use that for LinkedIn. And then I canceled my account.
I was going to say, before you shut down your account.
And then I thought about it, and I said, I don't need this anymore. Bye-bye. So I guess I've already done my tool. I guess there's really no reason to go into any more detail. I really think this is a fantastic phone. The speed, battery life is good. Camera is superb. This is a nice implementation of Ice Cream Sandwich. Couldn't be happier. I think that they've really done a nice job. This is the Galaxy S3. The good news is it's on every major carrier in the next month or so. So if you want it, you can get it. And I think this is, as long as Apple doesn't manage to get an injunction and keep it from coming into the U.S., I think this is going to be a very, very popular phone. Pre-orders apparently were 9 million for this phone. Its predecessor sold 50 million units, which I think is we're talking iPhone territory here. So this is a really spectacular phone. Very thin, very light. I don't have the same problems I had with this with the Nexus screen, which was a pen-tile display as well. But for some reason, the Galaxy Nexus, I just saw a lot of noise. T-Mobile, AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, all will have it apparently $199, which is surprising because usually these premium phones go for $100 more. June 21st for T-Mobile, Sprint. Verizon is taking pre-orders now but won't be until July. AT&T has not announced a date but has said, yes, we'll carry it. In fact, I think they have a red one on AT&T. That's for the 16-gig model. And by the way, I think 16 gig's fine. It takes an SD card. I see no reason to get the 32-gig model. I think 16's plenty. So buy it before it gets banned.
Someone in the chat room, I think it was MMX, mentioned, and this is a story we should probably mention real quick. On X.ms, did you get a chance to look at this, Leo?
No, what's that?
It's a new Microsoft product for Android phones only, oddly enough. But it's kind of a scripting automation tool for Android phones. So it's similar to like Tasker for Android, but it's a web app and an Android app, and you get to create recipes for actions.
I love it.
Given a set of variables. So it's kind of like if this, then that, but for your phone. So you say, if you're leaving work, text your spouse and say, I'm on my way. And it's brand new. Microsoft just launched it, I think, this week. It's in beta. And all the recipes it's on x.ms is the website. And interestingly, just Android for now. And I haven't had a chance, actually, to try this out myself, but it looks like a nice UI on top of something like Tasker, which we've talked about before on the show.
Huh. For some reason, it wants a certificate. Wow, this is using the JavaScript API.
Yeah, the recipes are JavaScript code. So you can fork them and you can edit them.
Bizarre.
Yeah, I know.
What are you up to, Microsoft? What are you up to?
I know.
I'll play with this. Maybe we can make some. Maybe we can make some little scripts. I always like this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I do too. Right? If I'm, because it's location and they detect the speed at which you're moving. I assume it's speed and location, whether or not you're driving, running, or walking. So you could say if I'm running, play my music. If I'm driving,
that's neat.
Send my text messages to. Or
increasingly, these Android phones really are kind of amazing. I have to say, the pace of innovation is fast, and that's what's missing.
Android just is the framework to do this kind of thing on. There's so many hooks into the system that allow for this kind of thing to happen.
It's wide open. Gina Trapani is at smarterware.org. That's where she blogs. You can also find her at thinkupapp.com, where she's writing the great ThinkUp app with Expert Labs. Jeff Jarvis is gone on a plane, but he, of course, is at buzzmachine.com, and his book, Public Parts, is available in bookstores everywhere. We thank James Spann for joining us, too. Don't forget, @Spann on Twitter, 2 N's, SPANN, if you want to follow Alabama tornado updates. Or just follow his Weather Brains podcast at weatherbrains.com. Thanks, Gina. Great to have you.
Great to be on. Great show again.
See you next week on This Week in Google.